how to easily, I don't know if easily is the right word, but easily build good habits. It's taken from a blog that I get a lot. If you want to write it down, he's a great. If you ever read anything by Malcolm Gladwell, Blink and all that, this guy's like a weekly Malcolm Gladwell. He's great. Barking up the wrong tree. So examples of things that we should be doing. What aren't we doing that we should be doing? Exercise. Exercise?
Yeah.
Cooking? Who cooks? Okay, not bad. Our society as a general rule doesn't cook anymore, by the way. They eat out, they bring in, they microwave. Because why? We don't have time. I say oatmeal, if you're actually cooking it on the stove, how long does it take? 30 minutes. It's 30 minutes. It's not 2.5 minutes in the microwave. The microwave stuff is actually pre-cooked, and that's why it only cooks for 2.5 minutes. Sleep? Anyone heard me say sleep? If everyone is not raising their hand, we have a problem here. What else? What don't we do that we should be doing? What do you want to do that you're not doing?
Drink more water.
Drinking more water. Absolutely. Anybody else? Be more active. So how to make these things happen more likely? Simple and painless, of course, right? Right? Isn't that what we all want? Simple and painless? So there's 4 steps. Step 1, make it obvious. So going towards the drinking water. What does that mean? I want to drink more water. What does it mean?
It just means you gotta drink more water so you're more hydrated.
How much is more? If I drink
64 ounces a day.
So that's a great number. So now we have a specific. If you want to drink more, should it be 80 ounces?
100.
When should I drink it? Where should I drink it? How should I drink it? So let's start getting specific. I will blank at a time and a location. So I want to exercise tomorrow. What do I say I want to do? I'm going to go to the gym. Well, when am I going to go to the gym? What am I going to do there? How long am I going to do it for? So this is being very specific. Tomorrow, I'm going to wake up at 5:30. I'm going to put on my running shoes, lock out my door, and go 2 miles. If you say very specific. Some of you came in the first day we met and you said, I want to be healthier. And I said, what does that mean? We have to measure it. So this is on the track for that. SMART goals. Everyone hear SMART goals?
Learning it in English.
Oh, it doesn't show. Hold on. I think there are enough. I didn't. Yeah. So the first thing is specific. Let's be very specific. I want to walk tomorrow. It's measurable. How far do I want to walk? How far do you want to walk? 2 miles. Is it attainable? Well, have I walked 2 miles before? Do I have a bad knee? Do I have shoes? Are they good outside? Is it relevant? So if my goal is weight loss, is this a relevant goal? Yeah? Forgot the last one. Oh, time bound. When is it going to happen? Tomorrow, in the morning, at 6:30. Habit stacking is another technique. Tie a new habit to an old habit. Who watches Netflix? Anyone have a stationary bicycle or treadmill at home?
Yeah.
Put your treadmill in front of your TV. So I have a friend, I've told some people this story before, she does not watch TV unless she is on her stationary bicycle. TV I like. Bike I might like, but I know I like TV, so every time I watch TV, I get on the bike. And her rule for that is, I just have to move. I don't have to go fast, I don't have to go slow. Her only goal when she's doing it is moving. You watch a half an hour show, you've just biked a half an hour. You watch an hour-long show, you've just biked an hour. Takes your mind off it too, so you don't stare at the numbers. Oh my gosh, it's been 2 minutes, it's been 4 minutes. Who goes to the gym and stares at the treadmill number? Don't. Put a towel over it. So after a current habit, I will do this habit. So it can be even simpler than that. When I wake up, I put on my shoes and I go for a walk. We're just tying things together. Sometimes it's things that happen anyway. On the way home from work, I stop at the gym. You have to start being specific about the things and putting goals on them. Step 2, so that's step 1. Make it attractive. So actually, this was the Primack principle that spelled differently. This was a psychologist. And he said more probable behaviors will reinforce less probable behaviors. So that's the things that you're already doing. I have to wake up and then I exercise. I come home and I do that. I personally want to exercise in the morning. The night before, every single time, my clothes are in a pile, ready to go when I wake up in the morning. And it becomes super routine. I wake up, I can tell you the contacts go in, the clothes go on, I do a chocolate shake still, 5 years later, and I'm out the door in a few more minutes. Right now I actually have to walk the dogs first. I come back and I do my own. And if it doesn't happen in that order at that time, or the clothes didn't get out there, it's probably not happening in the morning. Leverage sheep-like tendencies. People around you influence you more than you think. If all my friends go to happy hour on Friday, what am I going to do? I'm going happy hour on Friday. All of my friends on Sunday morning are riding bikes. What am I going to do? I'm going to ride a bike.
Going to happy hour.
So Ashton is going to happy hour. So doing things with people that already do the things you want to do. They've actually said your friends, when I look at this, your friends are actually better than your spouse or significant others when it comes to this. Because we've already kind of set up those relationships. Although it's best if you do it with your spouse or a significant other. We know that friends are really the ones that help us in this. I always joke, if you go out to eat and you're the 4th person or 5th person to order, and someone goes cheeseburger, 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 are you going to be ordering a salad? No. But if it goes salad, 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 you're probably not ordering a cheeseburger. It's what other people are doing is what you do. So if you're ordering with those kind of people, order first, truthfully, and then you're the one who sets the tone for the rest of us. Step 3, make it easy. Find ways to make it easier. Commit to a small amount. I may have told some people, go to the gym and get on the treadmill for 1 minute. Why do I say 1 minute?
It's a start.
It's a start. Do you think anyone has ever truly got on the treadmill and only went for 1 minute? No. Lisa Galper, who taught the class right before this, tells someone, go to the gym, sit in the parking lot in your gym clothes, and if you leave, you leave. Do it twice. Do you think anyone has ever gone there twice and not gone in the gym? I don't think so. I actually don't think so. At least no one has ever told me they have. And so all the time I'll say, it's always the first bit that's hard. I've been a runner since high school. I still hate the first mile. But I know once I do it, the second mile feels good, and however else. Depends. Now it's 2 miles is probably a max. So yeah, make the first 2 minutes easy. Step 4, make it satisfying. How do you reward yourself? Well, it used to be food. It's not food anymore. So what is tied? Do we need short-term goals or rewards? And we need long-term rewards. And all of them are different for all of us. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. So if you feel good, and why do I say you have to do an exercise that you like? Because I want you to leave it feeling better than you did when you started. When I go for that mile walk and I'm done, it's sunny out, the birds are singing, and we live in Arizona, it's nice all the time. I come back smiling, right? Also, what's immediately punished is avoided. If we hated it, we're not going to do it tomorrow. If you pick a trainer and that trainer beats you up for an hour the first time you meet with them, you're going to want to meet with them 2 days later when you're scheduled again? No. That happens all the time. So many people get their trainer beats up on them way too much. So how do you maintain these good habits? Make them part of your identity. It becomes who you are. It's no longer something you do. I'm not just someone who's going for a walk. I'm a walker. I'm not someone who goes to the gym, but I work out. That's what I do. I'm a cook. I enjoy cooking. I'm a napper. I'm actually all 4 of these things, by the way. So I'm a runner, I'm a cyclist, I'm a cook, and I'm a napper. and I keep doing them. And all of it, some people say all the time, you know, how do you do it? And you know, if I was out to dinner with you guys and people were ordering bad and I ordered good, you just go, well, that's Primack, he does weight. No, it's because I do these things. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. I put them on a little piece of paper. Questions? We have about 10 minutes in the hour. Sometimes I'll end with this, which is it's called AMA, Ask Me Anything. Questions? Anything at all? World of Weight.
If you look back at all the years you've done this, what are some of the key successes that you've seen that have been consistent? People that have lost weight, kept it off over time, and yourself.
So knowing a couple things. Learning from what happens. We're not all going to be the same. You know, you hit your goal number, and we say, I'm never going to go off that goal number. There's going to be a range. I am still learning my triggers and the things that help me stay on my weight and the things that don't. Ice cream doesn't come in my house. I've told many people this story. Ice cream does not come in my house anymore. I can tell you the last 2 times I bought ice cream in my home. October of last year, 2017, that's when I realized I had a problem with ice cream. And it wasn't just, you know, it was, you sit down with a bowl and a thing in front of the TV. Well, we all do it. We can't do it, or we struggle with our weight. And so I didn't buy ice cream the whole year, and I had a car accident this October. It wasn't bad, and my car is just, it's 3 weeks in the shop, but I wasn't hurt, he wasn't hurt, but I was on my way to the grocery store. What did I do? Bought ice cream. I sat on the couch and I started eating it. And when I got about halfway into it, I said, this has got to stop. And I stood up, this is where the willpower comes in. I stood up and I walked to the sink and I turned the water on. And the ice cream was gone. And it's not that I haven't had ice cream between last October and this October, but it isn't in my house. So the first thing is learning from things. If you go to certain restaurants and you always overeat, they may not be the right restaurants for you. So I think that's number 1. And number 2 is having some kind of accountability, whether it's coming in here on a regular basis or writing down your weight or tracking your food or something that shows you that you're just looking at it regularly on a regular basis. And if you do fall off the wagon, so to speak, you don't beat yourself up. We know that in the all or none world, when you beat yourself up, you actually go the opposite. You go off the plan even more. And so, yeah, it happened. It was a lapse, and I'm getting right back on. Today's a new day. We talk about the dimmer switch sometimes. So in a switch like this, it's either on or off. If our diet is either on or off, there's no middle ground. But if we had a dimmer, it starts out at 100%. Oops, I ate the little thing I wasn't, but it's still at 90%. It's not at 0. But then I went for a walk, burned off a little calories. Now it's at 95% again. I go to sleep, I wake up tomorrow. It's not where it was. It's back at 100. It's a brand new day. Start it again. So I think those. And then if the tools you're using are working, don't stop them. If you're using some level of meal replacements or using medicines, if you're exercising, if you're doing those things, just keep doing them. For the things that work for you. All of us are going to do a different combination of things. So as we find what works for you, just keep doing them. I think those are the biggest things I've learned.
Question back to obesity. Something I was wondering about from a disease perspective. What portion of that would you say, or is there a difference between? Is it hereditary? Is it genetic? Is it, environmental?
Yes. So I believe it is a combination of, well, genetic and hereditary I will call the same thing. And I think it's the right genes in the right circumstances. Last time I talked about the Pima Indians. Pima Indians are based in southwestern United States. If you live in, call it the US side, as opposed to the Mexico side of the border, and you eat in the normal American size way of eating, by the age of 35, 50% of them have diabetes. 50% of them have diabetes. So we've been able to study them as a science thing. If you live on the Mexico side and you're still really what is a farmer, so they were farmers in the Southwest. We live in the desert, so there wasn't a lot of good farming that happened. So they weren't eating a lot. And so if you're still working your farm in the Mexico side, it's 6% diabetes. It's the same genetic makeup in the same people, and it's the different food that they're eating. When we look at it, there's probably what they're going to say is 20 what they'll call major genes. If you have any of these major genes, you're going to have maybe slower metabolism, more uptake of calories or something. Or there's about 200 minor genes. And that's where each person of us is a little different. And so one of them, let's just say, says, I eat too many carbohydrates. Another person eats too much fat. Another person doesn't get enough sleep. Another person doesn't exercise enough. Another person, and when you look at all of us, we're all a little bit different. And I think that's where the little differences come in. There's some interesting twin studies. So they looked at twins, the ones that are identical, so it's from the same egg. And when you look at them as they grow, they actually seem to have pretty much the same body type, even when they aren't raised in the same family, interestingly enough. And the same siblings that could have the same parents, but were different eggs, do not have the same body type. It's a famous picture that goes around the weight loss world. So I think it is with the right genes, in the right circumstances. There's an island somewhere off the coast of Canada that's secluded from the mainland. Throughout the years, the food that they ate is this fish called the ooligan fish. Ooligan fish is long and skinny, and at some part of the year, I don't remember which kind, they basically just go in the water and they take nets, and they get big nets of these fish. And they kind of boil them down and make oil from it. And the rest of the year, all the food they eat, which is usually preserved fish, they dip in the hot oil and they eat it. It's really a very, very low-carb diet because they're out in the middle of northern Canada. There's not a lot growing. So in the 1950s, 60s, grocery store comes to the island. And they show pictures of the grocery store. 20 kinds of cereal, soda, chips, all that. And the island becomes big. Every person has gained a significant amount of weight. And some doctors some of them were part of our society and some of them were such, started going up there and teaching them basically just eat the natural way they were. Go back to the fish, go back to oils, and not a lot of carbs. And at the end of the year, they had this big ceremony actually the biggest thing on the island is a rodeo pit. So, a thing. And they put the equivalent of the weight they lost in a pile. So it was like dog food bags and flour and all that. And you see a mountain that's like 20 feet high and all around from all the people on the island. So it's interesting. Yeah. That's what we eat in the right circumstances. I think diabetes, long ago, so diabetes, you can put a little more weight on versus someone who doesn't have diabetes. And so during times of famine, you did a little better than our neighbor. And so that's why it's become more and more people have that gene because it helped them live when your neighbor didn't have that gene. Thanks.
Lucky you, buddy.
Questions?
You did a long one last month. Is that on YouTube or something?
So interesting. So I did tape last one and I'm taping this one. It is ready to go on YouTube. Well, it's not ready because the slides didn't show up the way I wanted them to. So I'm trying to, and my kids probably know this better than I don't know how to do the video part, but I'm going to put the slide on the video, which you can do, and it's not that hard. Because I haven't had a lot of time yet. It will be there. I have a website that eventually, it doesn't have a lot on it, but it's drprimack.com, and there will be a link to there. There's probably about 5 articles on that website if anybody wants to go there now of things I've written. DOCTOR. Yeah. Things like this will eventually show up.
So, we've talked about this, but what are some of the good techniques to break through a plateau?
Great question. So plateau. I always go back to the beginning. Diet, exercise, sleep. And so we look at diet, and are we doing each of those little things? Are we sticking, not 100%, but at least 95% to our plan? Are we exercising? Are we sleeping? And then we have to, if all 3 of those are in place, then we have to start looking at the little things. Are we taking medicines that work or not work? Is there other things? Thyroid, which a lot of people, we started, looking at their thyroid and such. So I think that's kind of the first 5 things I look at. And then after that, it's not as easy. Those aren't the obvious, but usually we find something in those couple.
Is it like, if let's say it's not in those 5 things, is it, okay, now it's time to kick it up a notch in exercise or kick it up a notch in diet or something?
I can't say there's one answer to that.
Sleep more.
So if it's less than 7 hours of sleep, then sleep more would be my number 1 thing. I just looked at 2 or 3 nights ago, I looked at a lot of the sleep data I have again. There's an article I was interviewed for that they wanted the data. So there's one study that looked at if you sleep 8.5 hours versus 5.5 hours, when you drop your sleep from 8.5 to 5.5, the metabolism fell by 400 calories a day. 400 calories is 4 miles of walking if we're a walker. So it's a big deal. Growth hormone goes down when you're not getting sleep. So growth hormone repairs the damage we do. So we go to the gym and we get sore. How do we repair that damage? Growth hormone, which is natural growth hormone, comes on at the later stages of sleep throughout the night. And those 2 hormones that I talk about all the time, leptin and ghrelin, as we don't sleep, the leptin goes down, so less full, and the ghrelin goes up, more hungry. So that's why it's 2 in the morning and you go, oh my gosh, I'm hungry again. And you eat again, and we justify it saying, I've been up longer, I'm probably burning more calories. It's actually the opposite. I'm up longer, I'm burning less calories. And when you think evolutionary, it makes sense. If we're on the hunt and we need to stay alive to catch the buffalo, is always my thing, you need to have the energy to do that. If you ran out of your energy early, we'd never catch up to the herd of buffalo and we'd never have the food. Makes sense.
And what about if you don't have straight sleep? Because I assume you're talking about.
So the better our sleep is, or the more in one session it is, the better. But we do think, number one, you can catch up on sleep. And so if you don't sleep well one night, you can sleep. We used to think that you couldn't catch up on sleep, but teenagers have shown us the opposite. You know, they may sleep till 10 or 11 o'clock, you know, on a weekend or later. My daughter's probably 11:30. Taking naps, as long as it does not interfere with your nighttime sleep, does help also. If you have sleep apnea or restless legs, treating those on top of it. So time when you are asleep that you're really not asleep. All right. Thank you for everyone for coming.
Thank you.